Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing some Honey Bee Decor, and the reason for that is I have an area in my store where I sell local honey, and that little area needs some attention. So I'm just going to add some little Honey Bee Decor to that area. Now I'm taking just a little piece of wood here, and I have this stencil for honeycomb. And I'm using the color Rebel Yellow, and then I'm taking some pine cone and just kind of dabbing over the top of that somewhat, just to give it a little bit more dimension and color. And I'm just going to do some little faint honeycomb in the background, just randomly. And like I said, this is just a little piece of board. I think this might even be a little piece of fencing board. But I'm just going to kind of use it as a sign in my little shelf area, and if it sells, fine, I'll just make another one, but I'm really not making it with the idea of selling it. In my store, in my area, local honey is just becoming more of a thing. It's more and more people are eating local honey and seeing the benefits of it, so Honey Bee Decor sells really good for me. So this little sign here is just kind of setting the stage for the colors that I'm going to be using in this little vignette. So I'm going to be going with that warm wood tone and then the black and yellow. And then now I have some little blocks that I have in my store, and they have words on them in the Rae Dunn style, and those sold really well for me when I first put them out, but they've slowed way down now, so I'm just going to paint over them. And I'm starting with the color Caviar, which is just a kind of a muted black, and because I want something really harsh in the background, and since that's my dark color in this vignette, that's what I want to show through, because I'm going to be using the color Buttercream over the top, and that black will show really well through that buttercream. But I just give all these one coat of black, and I'm not even bothering to paint the back because I've got that stained, and I kind of like that look, just leaving that stained back and sides. So once that black is dry, then I'm just going to go over this with a crackle medium, and this is a Dixie Belle product, but you don't have to use Dixie Belle. You can use just regular Elmer's school glue mixed with a little bit of water, and it works really well also. But once the crackle medium is dry, and it just needs to be dry to the touch, then you just take one generous coat of your top coat, and like I said, I'm using the buttercream here, and you want to keep your strokes in the same direction, but you want to try not to overstroke any more than you have to, because you'll start to pull that paint off. But I just overstroke just enough to smooth it out somewhat. But I don't mind if it has a little texture on it, because this crackle effect is going to be pretty that way also. And I did mention that these are just little pieces of 2x4 that I've cut up. And you can get 2x4s given to you most places where there is construction going on. We have some neighborhoods that are adding new houses, and if they throw those 2x4s in, or any wood in the yard, they told us they're free game. So we just go through and pick them up, and that's a good way of getting some free wood. And now I'm just putting a little Queen Bee stamp on this. And I think this is part of the Icy Paris set. But I'm just putting this on here because it's bee related. And I do several like this. And these little wood blocks, I sell just to put in little vignette areas to add to a vignette. They work really well for a tiered tray. But they sell really good for me, and I only put $3 on them, but it's just a piece of free 2x4, and I really don't have much time at all in them. So maybe in your area you could get more than 3. I just feel like 3 is plenty in my area. And now I'm just taking my stamp pad in the color black that I used on my stamp, and I'm just kind of rubbing it around these edges, and it kind of frames it out, but it also contrasts what you have on there, and I just think it gives it a lot better look. So I'm just using some stamps here that relate to bees, and then I'll also do a little bit of stenciling on some of them. And I just kind of put these in a container. Like I said, they sell really good. I haven't made this particular kind before, but I do think that they'll sell well. You could do decoupage on some of these, and I've done that on some in my store. But here I'm just keeping the colors with this vignette, and I'm going to add some yellow in here on some of these. I actually wanted to decoupage some on these to go in this little vignette, but I realized I didn't have any bee-related decoupage paper, so I ordered some napkins, and actually those came today, so I'll add those to my little vignette. I don't know about you guys, but I get excited when I get packages from Amazon because I'm wondering what else can I craft. I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but I love getting Amazon packages because I know that I'm going to get to craft something different. But here they are, all displayed in a little container. And now I'm going to do some stamping on rocks, and this is just really good for me because my business is combined with my husband's business, and his is a landscape supply yard. So part of what we sell is river rock by the scoop, and so I just washed some of these little river rock, and now I'm doing that same effect on these. And I used to sell little painted rocks. I would paint ladybugs and things like that on them, but that's really time consuming, so I'm really liking this better than having to take all that time in painting. So my idea here was to paint some of these yellow and some of them white. And when I started my stamping on these yellow ones, I didn't like it. It just didn't work out for me. So I don't continue with these. I do a few of them and realize that I just don't like how any of them look. So now I am painting that crackle medium back over the top of these yellow rocks, and then painting the buttercream over that. And what that's going to do is it's going to crackle down to the black and the yellow. And I like how that looks also. But we're just going to go with white as the top color on all these. And now I'm just making some appliques by stamping different items on just one layer of some tissue. And that's just the one layer of a napkin that you don't use because it doesn't have the images on it. So you're just going to save that back layer and stamp images on it, and then you can decoupage those onto these rocks. And it really helps to decoupage because most of these rocks aren't really flat enough to stamp, and so I'm just decoupaging. And anytime that you decoupage with napkin like that, with the back side of a napkin, you really need a really light top coat. So it worked out that these were just all white and I didn't do any in yellow. So now I'm going to do a book stack, and I saw these done in different ways on Pinterest, but I'm just going to do mine really simple. And I'm just taking some white books, and so all I'm having to do is paint that spine. So I have to go over it a couple times to get that title covered up well, but just a couple of coats of, and I'm using the color cotton here because I want to keep these books more white. So once I get a couple of coats on these spines, then I'm just going to kind of stack them together and add some wording to the spines. And I got my alphabet stamp set at Hobby Lobby. So I think they usually keep those there. And if you're looking for them, I do know they have them there. I know you can get them different places on Etsy or Amazon, but I just got mine at Hobby Lobby. Now, I've seen these book stacks done in many ways, but like I said, I'm just keeping mine simple. So I'm just going to stamp the words sweet as honey on these books. I think two very good investments are a small set of stamp letters and a larger set. And so I do have this small set. My larger set is the Ray Dunn style of lettering. But that's kind of, I feel like it's fizzling out somewhat. So I have the IOD typesetting stamps ordered. But these are just working really well for these books because I needed small lettering for these. So I like to, when I'm stamping a word, if I want it to be centered, I like to start with the center letter. But now I'm just adding a little bee stamp, and I got this one at Hobby Lobby a couple years ago. I think that it's probably still there, but I just got it at Hobby Lobby. And now I'm just wrapping twine around this set, and I'm just going to tie a simple bow in the front because I want to keep these very maybe neutral, I guess is what I'm trying to think of, so that they'll go well in different vignettes. And I'm also not going to add an item to the top of these so that they can also be used as a riser if you want to just put a little item on top. And since I've had some ladies ask what I charge for my items to mention my prices more often, then I will. I did promise that I'll mention them more often. I'm still not going to mention them very often because I find that pricing varies so much from area to area. But I'll probably put $12 on these books. And now I have this little grapevine wreath that I thrifted. And usually when I thrift items like this, I have to take things off of them first, but I didn't have to with this one. It was like new. So I'm just going to make a little small wreath here to go on a little window that I have in that vignette area. So I'm just going to keep my colors simple because I want the yellows, but I want some yellow and some white in this. I don't want to introduce any new colors, but obviously I want some greenery. So I'm not going to cover this whole thing because I like the brown from the grapevine to show because that's part of or one of the colors in my vignette. So I'm just going to do one little area on this grapevine, and I'm just putting some hot glue on them and cutting little pieces off my picks. And this greenery is just a little greenery pick that I have in my store that is very inexpensive. And then those little sunflowers, I just got those at the Dollar Tree. And I like a lot of their flowers, but I don't like the greenery on the flowers. So what I usually do is just put my own greenery in my arrangement and then use just the flowers. I especially do that with the roses at the Dollar Tree because I really like the roses, but not the greenery on them. So I'm just kind of adding here until I feel like I've added enough. And like I said, I'm going to keep it simple. And I'm not even going to put any ribbon on this one. I just want it to be more of a natural looking wreath. So a little more greenery on both ends of this. And I feel like that's all that this little wreath needs. Then I had this little sign that I had taken off another item. And so I'm just going to add that just to add just a little bit more to this wreath. And I thought maybe the best way here to attach this was to glue a little, it's kind of like a dowel, but it's flat on each side. And I just had some of these. I don't even know where I got them. But I'm just going to add that by gluing that onto the back of this little block. And then I'm going to cut it off and leave myself just enough to stick back in that wreath. And I feel like that will hold this little sign in place well. I don't do a lot of wreaths other than during Christmas. And I had people ask about them, but I don't do a lot of wreaths. And I guess the reason that I don't is because florals are just so expensive. And here I'm not using a lot, but I don't know. Just for the most part, I feel like a wreath takes more material than I feel like I can get out of it. I don't know if you guys have that problem or not. But because of that, I understand why wreaths are kind of expensive to buy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless you and your family.